Congressman Gosar, always great to talk with you.
Always a pleasure, Jenny. Thanks for all you do.
Before we talk about the contempt proceedings, I wanted to ask you, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Lamar Smith, in a new report that he just released, and I don't know if you've had a chance to see this, but he says that the Department of Justice in that report under Eric Holder, quote, has become more partisan than ever. And he points to Fast and Furious and all the stonewalling that's been going on from day one. Your reaction to that comment?
I think it's justified, and I think we should be even going further because, what this Justice Department has done has been upholding, voter identification laws. They've been doing, picking and choosing the laws they want to uphold. We can't get information on Fast and Furious, which is such an egregious attempt. So I think it's great that Chairman Smith is actually calling out the Attorney General. More people should be doing it.
And he does cite also the voter ID laws you just talked about, and he talks about enforcing the immigration laws, and he plans to hold a hearing. He asked Holder to come to testify before his committee on June 7th. And I got to ask you, all you've been through with Holder, you really think he's going to be any different then when he shows up and start answering questions?
Yeah, you know what? If he doesn't like the heat, we're just going to ratchet up the heat. Yeah. And I think that's what ought to happen. But I think also, Jenny, the recent, Supreme Court conversations in regards to Arizona's immigration law as well as the healthcare law just shows you how bad this Attorney General and this Department of Justice really is and the disarray that it is. Mm-hmm. They were, almost to a point ridiculed about their stances and their opposition to particularly these two challenges.
Mm-hmm. You talk about turning up the heat, and your committee is doing just that. You've now drafted a contempt citation accusing Holder of stonewalling. Do you really think that you have the support of the House Speaker, Congressman Boehner, to move forward with this?
Oh, I'm sure we do. I think, it's a matter of timing and making sure that, we've made this special effort to accommodate the bureaucracy, which I hope America is now getting frustrated with, because the problem here is that they are on their own time frame, and America should demand more. And particularly when you start looking at, Fast and Furious, I want to know where the Hispanic caucus is. Why aren't they calling for justification and the outrage, particularly with the 300 Mexicans plus that have lost their lives? Mm-hmm. Where is the civility in regards to protection of American citizens, our rule of law out here in Arizona? Are we anything less of citizens? It sure seems like that in this administration. It sure seems like that with this Attorney General, and it sure seems like that when we see the comments coming from the ranking member as well.
Mm-hmm. But you've got Holder. He won't respond to Freedom of Information requests. He doesn't respond to subpoenas. And if President Obama is backing him, what difference do you think a contempt citation is going to make? What do you want it to do?
I think we use the full breadth of the law and show the total disgust that they had for the rule of law. And it may be something that we look creatively outside of this, and maybe even in petitioning. I don't know the full value, but maybe this is time that the U.S. Supreme Court involves itself as well.
What kind of time frame do you think we're talking about when it comes to moving forward with this contempt? I know Congressman Issa has been talking about it. I heard Congressman Gowdy mention a deadline in Memorial Day. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't. I am aware of Congressman Gowdy's comments. I've been very impatient, representing Arizona, where this operation looks like it had its origins and its view. I'm constantly impugned that we will not answer to the questions fulfilling why and who and how this all came about. It's obvious that the Attorney General knew what was going on here. Very obvious in orchestration. If he thinks the American public's dumb, well, he better think again. But that's. I don't want to set a deadline. I want it sooner than later, and I hope that we're not utilizing Memorial Day as that deadline. I hope that when we say something, and I would hope that if we feel that he's not doing it in good graces, that we file the contempt charges ASAP.
And you mentioned who knew, and it's interesting because I was watching Greta Van Susteren's show last night, and she was talking with Congressman Chaffetz, and she was pressing him on, saying, hey, if I was you, I'd ask two questions. Who authorized Fast and Furious? Who's the top person? How high does it go? I mean, haven't you been asking that from day one, and that's why you're in the position you are right now, because they won't answer the question?
They won't, but we also know that we've got number three in the DOJ, Lanny Brewer, who's been caught lying to Congress. The outright lie that he formulated in that letter, February 4th to Senator Grassley. And then we have emails of the very same day he's in Mexico City proposing another gun running scheme. I mean, how egregious is this? Mm-hmm. In real America, when somebody does something wrong, they're put on administrative leave, when there's a shooting or some type of thing in question. That individual, that cop or that law enforcement officer is put on administrative leave. So where does this guy get off that he's not putting Lanny Brewer on leave? Mm-hmm. Where's Jason Weinstein? Gridler? I mean, all these people have intricate feelers in here, and we can't call people out. Oh, I forgot. This is the motivation of this administration to divide with envy.
Yeah. You're out there on the campaign trail. I know you're running for re-election. How big an issue is this with the people you're meeting with along the way?
This is big because people in Arizona can't understand why we have a government that constantly sues us instead of working with us. And it was very obvious, this last week when we had the Supreme Court hearing, that the justices see that there is a cooperative stance with law enforcement, and that it's on the ground level that you are empowering people to help support not only federal law but state law. And they're tired of it. And that's what I'm so gracious and love about Arizona. We came into this union kicking and screaming, and now we're kicking and screaming with the different questions and answers. And people want to have answers, and they're going to make sure that they go to the voting box accordingly. Yep. So you know what? I tell this president, bring your money here, but we're going to send you away with not winning this state. And
most of all, the Terry family wants answers, and I know that's why you keep fighting for it.
Oh, absolutely. And then, how horrible is this that their son, gave his life in service to this country and still can't find out answers about their government's involvement in this? And then think about this too, Jenny, is that when's the next accident going to happen? Where is it? It's just a matter of if and when, because we still can't account for those guns. And I think what most people find, horrendous is they knew how some of these other attempts went with orchestration, supervision, and cooperation with the Mexican government. What were they expecting from this without having any of that and following due diligence? Are they that incompetent? I'm actually thinking that's actually exactly right. Yeah. I was also told that I didn't understand that this was an attempt on our Second Amendment rights. I think we need to go back and look at Mr. Holder, from his days as a U.S. attorney, talking about brainwashing America for more gun laws. And I tell American citizens as well, what are the only 4 states now that have new gun regulations? Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. When you go to buy a new long rifle, you have additional papers to fill out. Did it come through Congress? No. It was administrative. How do you folks feel? Because it's time to hold this administration and time to hold this Attorney General accountable.
And that's what Lamar Smith is talking about in his report, going around the Constitution.
Absolutely, and we've seen total disdain by this president, this administration, and this attorney general for the Constitution and the bylaws in which this country functions.
All righty, Congressman, let's hope if you move forward with these contempt proceedings that something gets changed and you get the record you want finally, because I know that's what you want to do. Let's hope it makes a difference.
It will, and let's just, I thank you very much, Jenny, and the NRA for making sure that we're still being heard and getting more people involved. All right. And that's what we want to tell our viewers and listeners. Make sure you call your congressman, both Republicans and Democrats, and make sure that they get on our resolution of no confidence, and let's get the answers that we need to this issue.